This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
More than 35 export operations of Algerian products made in Algeria was launched today across 13 provinces, including a diverse range of goods ranging from household appliances, agricultural products, to industrial items for several international markets. Senior Iranian and U.S. negotiators have met earlier today with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in the capital Islamabad to open talks aimed at ending the Middle East war triggered 6 weeks ago by U.S.-Israeli strikes on Tehran. And in Lebanon, the Israeli army has pursued its airstrikes on the country's southern part, killing 10 people, including 3 rescuers. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First in our news, more than 35 export operations of Algerian products made in Algeria was launched today across 13 provinces, including a diverse range of goods ranging from household appliances, agricultural products, to industrial items for several international markets, according to the Ministry of Foreign Trade and Export Promotion. The large-scale operation was officially launched from Tizi Ouzou by Minister Kamal Rzig and is part of Algeria's strategy to boost non-hydrocarbon exports and strengthen the global presence of Algerian products. The exports are destined to 19 countries worldwide, including destinations in Europe, the Arab and African regions, and the Americas, reflecting the widening reach of Algerian goods. Shipments include cherry tomatoes, fruits, food products, dates, dairy products, detergents, paper, packaging materials, home appliances, spare parts, textiles, ceramics, and construction materials such as cement, clinker, and steel. On this occasion, the minister also inaugurated the National Fair for Cheese and Dairy Products for Export, aimed at highlighting the capabilities of Algerian companies in the dairy sector and promoting the quality and export potential of local products. The Minister of Energy and Renewable Energies, Mourad Adjal, has received officials from the Green Energy Cluster Algeria here in Algiers as part of efforts to strengthen coordination among the various stakeholders in the energy and renewable energy sector. During the meeting, the discussions focused on issues related to the sector as well as prospects for strengthening cooperation among the different actors in the field of energy and renewable energies. On the occasion, the minister presented the sector's vision regarding the energy transition, stressing that the success of this process requires the involvement of all stakeholders, particularly industrial players, given their central role in supporting and developing this field. He also examined the progress achieved by the sector, particularly regarding the implementation of the 3,200 megawatt solar energy project, as well as the efforts made to lift the freeze on several key projects, especially off-grid projects, in addition to the nuclear energy project. Mr. Adjal stressed the need for all stakeholders to contribute to supporting renewable energy development projects, affirming that the ministry's doors remain open to serious and credible proposals and suggestions. Mr. Bindi Murad, for his part, hailed the momentum in the energy and renewable energy sector, particularly in the electricity field, and the results achieved in the renewable energy development, reaffirming the group's support for the ministry's vision and strategic orientation across various areas. Still with the domestic file, a delegation from the Algerian Council for Economic Renewal, CREA, led by its president Kamal Moula, held a working meeting in Madrid with the Spanish Secretary of State for Trade, Amparo Lopez, during which the two sides discussed ways and means of developing strategic partnerships to support the diversification of the national economy. Mariam Bersha has more details.
The meeting took place the day after the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the CREA and the Spanish Confederation of Business Organizations, Confederación Española de Organizaciones Empresariales. Mr. Moula said that the meeting reaffirmed a shared commitment to strengthening bilateral economic cooperation and gives a new impetus for partnership between Algerian and Spanish companies. Several outcomes were agreed upon, notably the planned organization of an Algerian-Spanish Economic Forum in Madrid and the creation of a joint business council aimed at structuring trade and fostering stronger partnerships between companies in both countries. The discussions also highlighted several priority areas for cooperation, including energy, water, infrastructure, and agribusiness, with a view to fostering complementarity and creating wealth and jobs. They focused largely on the development of industrial co-production projects, as well as the conditions necessary to increase the number of Spanish companies operating in Algeria, particularly in energy-intensive sectors. Parties also hailed Algeria's strategic role as a gateway to regional and neighboring markets, offering expanded development opportunities to companies engaged in this cooperative effort. The initiative is part of the Treaty of Friendship between Algeria and Spain, which is fully in force and reflects a shared commitment to strengthening economic and trade relations between the two countries.
The Minister of Communications, Zubair Bouamama, has extended his sincere condolences and deepest sympathy to the family and colleagues of the late former Director General of the Algerian Public Television, Zubair Zemzoum. In his condolences message, Mr. Bouamama stressed that the deceased was among the competent media professionals who contributed with dedication to serving Algerian television, particularly during a sensitive period in the country's history where he helped consolidate a purposeful media mission serving both the nation and its citizens. To the international arena now, senior Iranian and U.S. negotiators met earlier today with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in the capital Islamabad to open talks aimed at ending the Middle East war triggered 6 weeks ago by U.S.-Israeli strikes on Tehran. Mariam Bershaz more.
The Iranian delegation is led by Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, while the U.S. delegation is led by Vice President J.D. Vance, began negotiations at Islamabad's Serena Hotel, though the format of future talks remains unclear. Sharif welcomed both sides' constructive engagement and voiced hope the negotiations would lead to lasting regional peace, while Pakistan pledged to continue facilitating dialogue. Major differences remain over sanctions, Lebanon and the Strait of Hormuz, with both sides openly expressing distrust. Iran insists any lasting deal must include the release of frozen assets and an end to Israeli strikes in Lebanon, while Washington says its top priority is ensuring Iran has no nuclear weapon. Sharif cautioned that the next phase would be a make-or-break stage in efforts to secure a permanent end to the conflict.
At least 7 people were killed and 13 others injured on Friday when armed men opened fire on a gathering near a shrine in the province of Herat in western Afghanistan. The ministry spokesperson Abdul Mateen Kani said that the preliminary reports indicate that 7 people were killed and 13 wounded, some of them in critical conditions. Security forces responded immediately and arrested 1 suspect. Efforts are ongoing to identify and apprehend the other ones. Also, people, including a child, were killed and 7 others were injured, among them 2 children following an artillery bombardment carried out by the Rapid Support Forces RSF on the town of Al-Nataj in South Kordofan State, the Sudan Doctors Network reported on Friday, describing the attack as deliberate. In a statement carried by media outlets, the network called on the international community and humanitarian organizations to intervene urgently to protect civilians and to pressure all parties to stop targeting densely populated residential areas while ensuring safe and immediate access to humanitarian and medical aid. Sudan has been engulfed in a bloody conflict between the army and the RSF since April 2023, a war that has killed tens of thousands of people, displaced millions, and triggered one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, according to UN reports. And Russian President Vladimir Putin has decreed a 32-hour ceasefire in Ukraine for Orthodox Easter. The truce began today and will last until the end of tomorrow, Sunday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kiev would also observe the pause. The temporary ceasefire follows Zelensky's earlier proposal for a holiday pause in attacks, particularly on energy infrastructure as part of a wider but stalled peace efforts. However, previous short Easter truces have quickly collapsed, with both sides accusing each other of violations, so the current 32 hours are being closely watched as a possible test for broader peace talks between the two parts. And finally, Russia and Ukraine have exchanged drone strikes just hours before a temporary Orthodox Easter ceasefire announced by Russian President Vladimir Putin and accepted by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. President Zelensky warned that Kiev would respond strike for strike to any violation. On the Russian side, Ukrainian drones strikes hit the Kran-Sondar region, causing a fire at a fuel depot and damaging buildings. Despite the truth, both sides also reported casualties from continued attacks. Meanwhile, Moscow and Kiev carried out a prisoner exchange involving 175 detainees from each side. With this, we come to the end of this news bulletin for today. Time now for weekly programs. We'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International. Goodbye.